I should warn you, there's one thing about this planer you might not like, but trust me, when you understand why it's there, you'll be glad it is. And I'm not talking about how long it takes to adjust the height on these things. We fixed that. I realize this looks a lot like the planer that we've had in our shop for the last 2 years. It's not. This is the new feature pack 13-inch helical head from Oliver. It's got some new features that are pretty exciting, but more than that, today I'm going to show you how to build a couple of pretty simple jigs that may negate the need for a joiner in your shop at all. Now, I don't have anything against joiners, but if you don't have the budget or the space for it, not needing one would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? And today we're going to show you how to get away with that. These are the two jigs I'm talking about. They're really simple to build and they add a lot of valuable use to the planer. Now, before we build these, let's take a quick look at the Oliver and show you some of the changes that they've made on the new 13-inch model. It's pretty awesome. And just like on the 12.5-inch, you have a Wixie caliper, and not like on the 12.5-inch, you now have a variable speed. You have two options to pick from. Having that slower speed is great when you're doing wider hardwood and you really want to focus on that quality of cut and not overtax the motor. And here you have the plunge measurement that tells you how much material you're taking away. And over here on the side, they have pre-calibrated depth stops from 3/4 all the way down to 5/30 seconds. On the back, we've taken off the case so you can see the 13-inch helical head. Now this helical head's made by Oliver. On their 12.5-inch one, that was made by Bird, but they were having issues with supply and demand, so Oliver tooled up to make their own, and they did an amazing job, just like on their larger Oliver machines. Now when you see the finishes coming out of this, they are phenomenal. Now their dust collection works really well, especially when it's paired with a 4-inch dust collector. We just have a 1-horse out there that shoots the dust outside into a trailer so we can take care of it later. And of course, we've got our quick lock, quick connection system on here, which makes adding and removing the dust collection really fast. Now a couple other quick changes that they did on this machine is they made sure there was handholds on the bottom and the top. Which makes this a much easier to move around. When you have a heavier piece of equipment, it's nice to have options about where you're carrying it. And the thing that I really like is that this went from plastic to steel. Before we jump into the jig builds, I want to address something really quick. These are extremely simple jigs to build. As long as you have some decent quality plywood, a straight edge, circular saw, drill, and maybe a jigsaw, you could definitely build these without any trouble. But the irony is not lost on me that we're about to build some of the simplest jigs in my shop with the most complicated piece of machinery in the shop, the CNC. But in the true spirit of smoke 'em if you got 'em and time is money, we need to get these done quickly, so we're going to cut them out on the CNC machine. For those of you who want to beat me up for that, feel free to do so in the comments section. I probably deserve it a little bit. Wanted to take this opportunity to clear something up I had mentioned in one of my later videos, that I'm paying $40 for a sheet of plywood. Now this is cabinet grade birch plywood from Horizon Forest Products here in Greenville, South Carolina, and I think the sheets cost about $42. It is not Baltic birch. It is a very stable wood and we really enjoy using it, and that's why we've switched mostly to this for our jigs and a lot of our shop projects. Now, quickly cut this out on the CNC machine and then took it over to this workbench I've been kind of testing, sort of an MFT style workbench that we've made some vacuum pucks for and just done some different things with it to see if having an MFT table in the shop really makes sense. It's one of those questions I've been asking myself a lot lately. With the vacuum pucks on it, it actually came in pretty handy. It was nice being able to vacuum things down and just sand out all the parts and do the routing without having to worry about holding it. And being able to get it slightly off the workbench was kind of nice. But the jury's still out on this style workbench in an actual wood shop. I can see it on the job site, but wood shop, not so much. So assembling these things is pretty straightforward. I started assembling the jointer jig first, and the most important thing with this is keeping it really square. It just consists of the base plate, the tower, and 4 braces. Now, I got the brace glued and screwed in place and perfectly 90 degrees. Now I want to add these braces to help hold it there when it's running through the machine. A little trick here though is that I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on the braces, get them squared up and let them set and dry up, or at least dry up quite a bit, the glue dry up quite a bit, before I put my screws in. The screws could potentially pull this slightly out of square, which I don't want. But by letting that glue set up before I pre-drill and put screws in the braces, that alleviates any potential movement that I might get out of just screwing these in place. I hope that makes sense. That's pretty much it for the joiner jig, and I'll show you how to use this here in a second. So once I had everything screwed down, I moved on to the surfacing jig, or planer jig if you want to call that. Now this is just a 12.5 inch wide, 47 inch long piece of plywood with a bunch of holes in it. I'll explain that in a minute. And then I dadoed out a 1 inch wide, 1/4 inch deep spot there that I could glue a piece of 3/4 inch plywood in, which would leave that 1/2 inch tall. Now to use the surfacing jig, I'm just putting a board on here that's a little off kilter to show its function, and I'm using a couple of shims on both ends to stabilize that while I clamp it into the system. And then to clamp it into the system, I'm using a really simple, very old technique of dowels and wedges. So I just put some dowels in the holes and tap some wedges in, and that clamps it in very securely, so securely that I'm going to take the wedges out once I have that in place. You could leave them in, but you'd want to tape them down or tack them down or hot glue them, which I built this system to completely avoid hot glue because I don't like using that. And once it's clamped in place, I can run it through the planer and get that one nice flat surface. Now, if you pay close attention, you'll see I'm only turning the knob that makes the head go down 1/4 turn per pass. And when you're doing hardwoods, especially wide boards, you want to be very careful about trying to take too much. Those kind of things can be really hard on the machine, the motor, and dull your blades faster. So once I'm done making the passes, I'm going to bring it over to my table saw, and it's perfectly flat. So at this point, all I have to do is take it back over to the planer and run the other side so I have both surfaces flat and parallel. This Oliver just puts off an incredible finish. I've been really, really impressed with it. Now, honestly, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to grab whatever piece of material I have flattened on both sides. I'm going to run over to my cabinet saw, grab my straight line ripping sled, and just rip a straight edge on the table saw. With everything set up really accurately, I get these gorgeous gluable edges that are perfectly square, and that's enough. But for argument's sake and for the reason of demoing the joiner jig, we're going to go ahead and cut this piece down. Now I can't be over 5.5 inches tall on any, or 5.5 inches wide for anything that I want to run through the planer. The planer goes to 6 1/4. You add the 3/4 inches for the plywood, I'm back down to about 5.5. So I really need to be under that mark if I want to use this for a joiner setup. And what's really nice about this is I could do 3 or 4, maybe even 5 pieces at one time instead of just one at a time. But for demo's sake, we're just going to show the one piece. Now, you would operate it just like you would a normal operation on the planer, except for this edge. This time it's cutting the edge. And as you can see, it creates these gorgeous 90-degree angles that are ready for glue up. So it definitely works really well. So as you can see, these jigs work really well to get that flat surface and for edge jointing. Now, some of you may have noticed I had a little bit of struggle when I was edge jointing, and if I were to remake this jig, I would make this so the board isn't smack dab in the center of this planer. Now let me show you why. You see how this material goes through here really well, but here it butts right up to it. Now there's this little nipple right here that comes down a little bit further. Now those are on most planers, and that's kind of a protection mechanism. So when you're doing wide boards, that you don't try to take too much meat. So the most taxing thing you can do to this is try to take too much material off at one time on wider hardwood. It can really put a lot of stress on the motor. So this nipple is here in place, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So earlier when we were talking about things that you're not gonna like about this planer, that one is a little bit frustrating for one major reason. On this planer, you have about a 30-second or even slightly less than a 30-second of variant between the bottom of that nipple and where the planer blades hit. Now on a lot of other planers, they kind of raise that a little bit so you can take almost a 1/16 of an inch, which really isn't healthy for the motor. And I don't know whether they did that on purpose, so kind of a planned obsolescence thing, or just whether the design wasn't quite that thoughtful. But with Oliver, they really took the time to figure out what that would do from a performance standpoint to get as much longevity out of the motor as you can. Now, when you go to either side of that nipple, you can take a lot of material out, but when you're doing those wider boards, that little protection mechanism keeps you from overtaxing the motor. It's another really thoughtful design from Oliver, but if you don't really understand why it's that way, it could be a little bit frustrating. If you were using this in the joiner capacity, being able to transition from low to high to do joiner and surfacing or edge joining and surfacing, this little device comes in really handy because nobody wants to sit here and turn this knob 5,000 times to get it to come all the way up to 6¼ inches. This is a really simple thing to make, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen all these jigs and you saw a little short video on how I made this. So if you want to see how I made this, go check out my Instagram channel, and all these things are on there already. On that note, while we're making YouTube videos and building jigs and fixtures and doing other things that never see YouTube, we post a lot of that over there on Instagram. So if you're on that platform, there's a link down in the description box where you can follow us over there and see all this stuff before it hits the YouTube channel. For those of you who are really creative thinkers, I bet you're already thinking there's a lot more we could do with this jointer sled. Now I'm gonna redesign this and add a whole bunch more functionality to it. And all these things are gonna work really well with the planer. But that's going to require its own video because there's a lot that we can do with this simple little setup right here to make it extremely handy around the shop. Big thank you to Oliver for sending over the 13-inch helical head planer. We've really enjoyed it, and it's a nice step up from the 12.5-inch we've been running for the last couple of years. Now, we had a chance to see them at IWF this year, and they have some amazing innovations coming out in 2025, and we'll be sharing those here on our channel. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more jig builds and a few tool reviews, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you see when our videos come out, and of course, thumbs up are always appreciated. Really appreciate the time you spent with us today, and we'll see you in the next video.